A massive fire swallowed the small alien city, licking at the towers and streets with ferocious hunger. Thick black smoke twisted into the sky, blotting out the faint stars above. Screams echoed through the chaos, blending with the crackling of collapsing buildings and the roar of flames. The smell of burning metal and alien flesh filled the air. In the heart of the inferno, a young alien girl struggled to move. Her limbs were small, trembling, her silver-blue skin scorched by the heat. Her eyes, large and luminous, were wide with terror. She called for help, her voice breaking over the roar of destruction, but no one could reach her. Fire blocked every path, and the city's defenders had been overwhelmed. From her trembling hands, she grabbed a small, glowing device, the SOS beacon. She had never seen humans before, nor had anyone in her city. Stories of distant beings called Deathworlders existed only as myths, tales told to frighten children into obedience. Yet, with nothing left to lose, she activated the device. A pulse of light shot from the beacon, piercing the void of space. The signal raced across the stars, hopping from satellite to satellite, until it reached a distant fleet known across multiple galaxies, the Deathworlders. On the bridge of their flagship, Captain Rin sat in a shadowed console room. The soft hum of the ship's engines filled the air, a steady rhythm contrasting with the chaos on the screen. Her eyes locked onto the flickering alert that had just appeared, an SOS. The signal was weak, desperate, almost pleading, but it was unmistakably real. "Humans don't usually get involved," murmured her second-in-command, a tall, angular being with gray-green skin and sharp eyes. "We observe. We intervene only when necessary. But this is outside normal parameters." Rin leaned forward, her face bathed in the pale light of the monitor. She studied the signal's origin, a small world tucked between asteroid fields and unstable star systems. The fire, she realized, was not natural. This city had been attacked. "Not this time," she said quietly, her voice calm but commanding. "We're going in." Her fingers danced across the holographic console, initiating the jump sequence. The fleet's engines hummed louder, the ship vibrating as energy gathered for hyperspace. Outside, stars elongated into streaks of light as the massive fleet vanished from normal space, hurtling toward the endangered city at impossible speeds. Far below, the aliens in the burning city paused. Many had never seen ships of this size, moving with such precision and silent authority. Even those who had glimpsed human vessels before could not believe what they were witnessing. The sky darkened as the Deathworlder fleet blocked out the sun for a moment, their hulls glinting in the glow of fire and smoke. Panic turned to confusion. Questions raced through their minds. Who were these humans? Why would they come to help? Inside the city, the young girl's beacon flickered weakly. Her arms shook as the fire drew closer. She could hear the screaming of her neighbors, the collapse of structures around her, the terrible snap of burning metal. She thought she was going to die there, alone, until a low rumble resonated through the air, a vibration unlike anything she had felt before. The fire reflected on the hull of the first human shuttle as it descended through the smoke. Captain Rin led the team, her suit equipped with protective shielding, eyes scanning every movement. The shuttle cut through the burning debris like a knife, unaffected by the heat that scorched everything else. The girl's heart leapt. She could barely believe her eyes. Flames danced around her, yet a strange, calm shadow approached through the smoke. The humans moved quickly, precisely, and without hesitation. There was no hesitation, no fear, only purpose. Rin landed the shuttle mere meters from the girl. Flames hissed around her, yet she remained unflinching. She extended her hand, and the girl, trembling, took it. The protective shield of the human suit radiated warmth, a stark contrast to the unbearable heat surrounding them. "Stay calm," Rin said softly, her voice firm but gentle. "You're safe now." The girl could not speak. She could only cling to the human, tears streaming down her soot-streaked face. Around them, human teams moved with lightning speed, pulling other survivors from the wreckage, extinguishing minor fires, and guiding citizens to safety. Their efficiency was terrifying and awe-inspiring at the same time. From the city streets, alien soldiers and citizens watched in disbelief. These humans did not fight, they did not negotiate, they simply acted. The flames no longer dominated the scene, the humans dominated it. Whispers spread, they are not afraid. They do not plead. They save. Even the attackers' remnants hesitated, unsure how to proceed against beings so fearless. The fire, once a symbol of destruction and death, now seemed almost irrelevant. Humanity's shadow loomed larger than the flames themselves. Back on the human flagship, Rin's eyes never left the monitors. She watched the city, the fire, and the people below, analyzing every movement. Her fleet was ready to strike if necessary, but her focus remained on the survivors. She had learned long ago that power was not shown in destruction alone. It was proven in the ability to protect, to act where others could not. As the last of the humans' rescue shuttles lifted off, carrying survivors to safety, the alien city began to realize a truth that would echo across generations. Humans did not wait for permission. They answered cries for help, regardless of distance, danger, or disbelief. And when they arrived, entire empires, no matter how proud or powerful, could only kneel in awe. The young alien girl, finally free from the flames, looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans waited, watching, protecting. She could feel it. She could never forget it. And neither would the world she had just survived to see. The sky above the alien city was still blackened with smoke, though the fire had begun to die down in places. The survivors had found temporary shelter among ruined buildings and shattered streets, but fear still clung to every shadow. No one dared venture far, not after what had happened. Then, a low hum vibrated through the air. At first, it was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but it grew louder with each passing second. The ground beneath the city trembled as massive shapes appeared in the sky. Human ships. They were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Towering vessels, sleek and dark, glinting with strange lights. They moved with precision, cutting through the smoke as if it were water. The people below froze, staring upward. Fear mixed with awe. Captain Rin's shuttle pierced the haze, gliding toward the heart of the city. She sat in the cockpit, scanning the streets below. Every movement of the humans was deliberate. Every action was calculated. They were not here to fight, at least not yet. They were here to save. On the ground, alien soldiers tried to regroup. Their weapons, long since rendered useless against the fire and chaos, now seemed fragile and pathetic in the presence of the human fleet. They watched as humans swooped down, leaping from shuttle to street with agility and strength beyond imagination. The young alien girl, her hands still shaking, spotted them first. She pointed upward, unable to speak through the awe and relief flooding her chest. The humans had come. They had arrived. Rin landed her shuttle near the edge of the city's central square. Flames still licked at the corners of broken buildings, but the human shields protected their landing zone. The shuttle's engines hissed, throwing up sparks and smoke, yet no heat reached the humans stepping out. They were ghosts in a storm, untouchable and unstoppable. One human, larger than the rest, moved quickly toward the girl. She extended her hand. The girl's heart leapt. She ran, barely noticing the wreckage underfoot. The heat was still there, but she no longer feared it. Not while humans were near. Around them, other human teams were pulling survivors from collapsed buildings, extinguishing small fires with strange equipment, and guiding terrified citizens toward temporary shelters. The aliens could only stare. They had never seen beings move with such precision and courage. The Empire's leaders, observing from a distance, felt a cold knot of fear twist in their chests. They had always considered themselves powerful, the masters of their region of space. Yet here were humans, arriving without warning, challenging every assumption they held. And instead of attacking, they were saving. Rin's second-in-command moved beside her as they scanned the city. "Do you think they will resist us?" he asked quietly. "Or will they submit?" Rin shook her head. "We are not here to demand submission. We are here to save lives. But," she added, her eyes hardening, "those who try to stop us will regret it." Below, the aliens whispered among themselves. Stories of humans had painted them as dangerous warriors, creatures from a faraway world capable of incredible destruction. But witnessing it firsthand, the humans' power, their speed, their courage, made the whispers turn to awe. One soldier muttered, "They do not fear death. They do not negotiate. They simply act." And that was terrifying. Rin moved through the streets with her team, her eyes constantly scanning the ruined city. She found other survivors, lifting them out of harm's way. The humans' technology was unlike anything the aliens had seen. Shields blocked falling debris. Healing devices soothed burns and injuries in seconds. The little girl clung to Rin's arm, her small body trembling. "Will we be safe?" she asked in a tiny voice. Rin crouched down to meet her gaze. "You are safe now," she said softly. "We will not let anything happen to you." For the first time in hours, the girl felt hope. She looked around and saw other children being carried by humans. Parents embracing them, tears streaming down soot-streaked faces. The fire still burned, but it no longer dominated the city. Humans had become the center of it all. High above, the Empire's leaders realized a terrifying truth. Humans did not need to fight to show power. Their mere presence altered the balance of fear and respect. Entire cities, entire armies, they could not predict what humans would do, but they now knew one thing: humans could not be ignored. Rin gave a signal. Her team regrouped, forming a protective circle around the rescued citizens. "Prepare for extraction," she commanded. "And stay alert. The fire may be dying, but danger is not gone." Below, the alien soldiers hesitated. Some wanted to fight, to defend their pride. But even as they raised their weapons, the humans were already too close, already too fast. They realized that resisting was pointless. The humans acted with precision, strength, and speed that was unmatched. As the last shuttle lifted off, carrying survivors away from the burning city, the Empire's leaders finally understood the depth of their vulnerability. These humans were not like any other beings they had encountered. They were protectors. They were warriors. And they were coming from a place no one dared to imagine, the stars beyond their reach. The little girl, safe inside the shuttle, pressed her hands against the glass. Flames still roared behind her, but they felt distant now. She looked at the humans around her, heroes without titles, warriors without enemies, and for the first time, she believed the stories of hope she had never truly known. The Deathworlders had arrived. And the city would never be the same again. The alien city had survived the fire, but its streets were scarred and silent. Smoke still curled from collapsed buildings, and the distant wail of injured citizens echoed through the ruins. Yet amidst the destruction, something new had arrived: humans. Captain Rin's shuttle hovered above the central square, the little girl safely secured beside her. Around them, human teams moved with calm efficiency, rescuing citizens trapped in rubble and guiding them to safety. Every action was precise, every movement purposeful. To the aliens watching from a distance, it was almost like watching a different species of god. From the tallest remaining tower, the alien emperor observed the scene. His once proud chest rose and fell rapidly, eyes wide with disbelief. Generations of conquest had taught him that fear could be controlled, that power could bend weaker species to his will. Yet here were humans, arriving uninvited, unchallenged, and changing everything. "What are they?" his advisor whispered, voice trembling. "They are not like us," the emperor muttered. They are something else." Meanwhile, Captain Rin moved toward a group of survivors, her calm presence contrasting sharply with the chaos around her. She knelt beside an injured alien, scanning with a small device that emitted a soft blue light. Burns were soothed almost instantly, broken bones stabilized, and frightened cries turned into quiet gasps of relief. The aliens could only stare. They had known technology, yes, but nothing like this. The humans did not just act, they transformed the situation. Where there had been despair, there was now hope. Where there had been chaos, there was order. The little girl tugged at Rin's hand. They won't help us," she asked softly, her voice trembling. "They will. Rin said, smiling gently. But first, we make sure everyone is safe. Then, we decide what must be done. From the shadows, soldiers of the Empire began to emerge. Their weapons, once raised to defend pride and territory, now felt heavy in their hands. They had trained for war, for conquest, for domination. But these humans were unlike any enemy they had faced. They moved with speed, precision, and a certainty that unsettled even the bravest warrior. A younger soldier whispered to his companion, "Do we fight? Or, do we submit?" "Submit?" The companion scoffed, but even as he spoke, doubt shadowed his voice. "I've never seen anyone like this." Captain Rin noticed the hesitation and spoke directly to the Emperor, her voice carrying across the ruined square. "We came because your people called for help. We do not negotiate for gratitude. We act because it is the right thing to do. Protecting life is not weakness, it is strength. Remember that." The Emperor's face went pale. This was the first time anyone had addressed him like this. The human voice did not carry threats, yet every word was heavier than any weapon he had ever faced. Around them, the citizens whispered, marveling at the humans' courage. Mothers clutched their children, soldiers lowered their weapons, and even the fire seemed smaller in comparison to the humans' presence. One young soldier, unable to contain himself, asked aloud, "They are gods." "Not gods," Rin said sharply, overhearing him. "We are humans. And if you survive, learn from this day, humans will act when others cannot. We will answer calls for help, but we expect respect for life in return." The Emperor, still standing atop his tower, realized the truth of her words. The humans did not act out of fear, nor for power, nor for reward. They acted because they chose to. And in that choice, their power became absolute. In the center of the square, the little girl watched as Captain Rin lifted her off the ground, cradling her with care. For the first time, she felt a sense of security, a knowledge that the humans would not let harm come to her. Around her, the city's people began to whisper, "Humans are different. Humans are strong. Humans are unstoppable." Rin turned her gaze toward the Emperor one last time. "This is your choice," she said calmly. "Learn humility. Learn courage. And above all, remember that life is precious. Protect it, or lose it." The Emperor sank to one knee, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. Never in his life had he seen such power wielded with restraint. Never had he felt so small, so exposed, so certain of the human's superiority. Around the city, whispers grew louder. Soldiers lowered their weapons, citizens cheered softly, and even the fire seemed to bow to the human's presence. Captain Rin finally turned away, moving to assist another group of survivors. Her crew followed, efficient and relentless. The little girl clung to her, eyes wide with wonder. She had been saved, yes, but she had also witnessed something far greater. The humans were not just rescuers. They were legends in motion. As the sun began to rise over the ruined city, the alien empire faced a new reality. Humans were not to be feared for their power alone, they were to be respected, admired, and, if necessary, obeyed. For the first time, the alien people understood that their myths had been incomplete. Humans were more than stories. Humans were the storm that could not be stopped, the force that could not be ignored, and the hope that had just answered a single desperate SOS. The city had quieted, but the calm was fragile. Smoke still curled from the ruins, and the streets were littered with debris. Survivors moved cautiously, helping each other as best they could. The humans had saved many, but Captain Rin knew their work was not done. High above the city, the human fleet hovered in orbit, scanning for any signs of danger. Sensors flickered across the control panels, picking up faint movements in distant sectors. Then, a warning beeped. Rin leaned forward, narrowing her eyes at the holographic display. "What is it?" asked her second-in-command. "Scouts are reporting a new fleet approaching," came the reply. "It's small, fast, and heavily armed. They were likely the ones who started the fire." Rin's jaw tightened. So the fire was no accident. This city was a trap. Below, the aliens began to sense it too. Strange ships appeared at the edges of the horizon, glinting in the sunlight. They were faster than anything the Empire had seen. They moved with precision, intent clear in their formation. Attack. The little girl, still clinging to Rin, noticed the new ships. They're coming back, she cried, her voice trembling. Rin set her jaw. Yes. And they won't win. The human fleet responded immediately. Shuttles lifted off, weapons charging. Energy shields flared to life, shimmering across the city's surface. Humans moved through the streets with calm urgency, preparing the citizens for potential evacuation. Their presence was a beacon of hope and a warning to the enemy. Humans do not fear danger, they control it. From the approaching enemy fleet, alien commanders observed the city. They had expected chaos, panic, and helplessness. Instead, humans moved with confidence, shielding the weak and preparing for combat. Their strategy was flawless, their speed unmatched. The commanders realized, with a chill of disbelief, that this would not be a simple raid. Rin's voice came over the comms, clear and commanding. All units, engage defensive positions. Protect the survivors. Disable their ships if possible. And remember, do not let them harm a single citizen. Energy beams streaked across the sky as the enemy fired first. Human shields absorbed the initial barrage, deflecting missiles and energy blasts with precision. The city below shook, but the humans moved through the chaos like predators in a storm, calm and unstoppable. The aliens on the ground gasped. They had fought countless wars, but never had they seen strategy and courage combined in such a perfect, terrifying display. Every human action was deliberate. Every counterattack was calculated. Rin moved swiftly through the streets, coordinating her team. She directed them to disable enemy ships using EMP pulses and precision strikes. Each enemy ship that tried to advance was neutralized before it could reach the civilians. The little girl clung tighter, eyes wide. They're amazing, she whispered. Yes, Rin said, her tone steady. They are humans. And they answer when called. The Empire's leaders, who had been watching from a safe distance, felt a cold knot of fear. Their city had survived the fire, but now they understood the true scale of human power. The humans did not just save lives, they dominated the battlefield with precision, intelligence, and unstoppable determination. The approaching enemy realized that the humans were not just defenders, they were hunters. Every movement was anticipated. Every attack countered. And for the first time, the enemy felt true fear. They had assumed the humans would arrive too late, that the city would burn, that victory was certain. They had been wrong. Rin's second-in-command reported the situation. Captain, the enemy is trying to retreat, but we can cut them off. Do it, Rin commanded, her eyes flashing with determination. They started this, they will finish it under our terms. The city below watched in awe as human shuttles streaked into the sky, disabling enemy ships one by one. Explosions lit the horizon, yet the humans moved unharmed through the chaos. Civilians cheered and cried, witnessing the impossible. Humans, calm and relentless, controlling the battlefield and protecting everyone below. Even the little girl understood. Humans were not just powerful, they were unstoppable. And as the enemy fleet began to scatter, fleeing back into space, the aliens realized a truth they could not ignore. When humans answered a call for help, they did so completely. No enemy could withstand them. No danger was too great. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the ruined city, Captain Rin looked to the horizon. This was only the beginning, she said quietly. We've saved the innocent today, but tomorrow, we must ensure this never happens again. The aliens, kneeling or watching silently, understood the lesson. Humans were protectors, hunters, and legends, all in one. The SOS that had been sent from a burning city had brought a force the universe had never truly seen before. The Deathworlders, answering when none else could. The smoke from the earlier fires still lingered over the city, curling like ghostly fingers across the broken streets. Survivors moved cautiously, many still in shock from the chaos. Yet even as humans guided them to safety, a new realization spread among the alien soldiers and citizens alike. Their world had just witnessed something extraordinary. Captain Rin stood at the center of the city, the little girl safely tucked into a protective shuttle. Around her, her crew secured the streets, scanning for any lingering threats. The humans were calm, methodical, and confident. Every movement was precise, every glance purposeful. To the aliens, it was almost terrifying to watch. From a distance, the alien empire's leaders gathered atop a damaged tower. Their pride, once absolute, was crumbling. They had survived countless wars, conquered distant worlds, and ruled over vast populations. Yet here, in their own city, they felt powerless. The humans had arrived without warning, without hesitation, and without fear. The emperor's voice trembled as he addressed his generals. These humans, they do not fear death. They do not fight for power. They act for life, for others. And yet, their strength, it is unlike anything we have ever known. One general whispered, his tone laced with disbelief. They saved citizens. They destroyed our enemies, without even trying. How can we compete with that? Rin moved closer to the emperor's observation point, her presence calm but commanding. She spoke in a language they understood, her voice carrying over the square. Your people called for help. We came. That is the extent of our concern. Protect life. Respect it. And remember that strength is measured not by who you crush, but by who you save. The emperor's knees buckled slightly. Pride warred with fear, but fear won first. For the first time in his life, he felt small. The humans had arrived, and in doing so, they had changed the rules of the galaxy. Even the soldiers on the ground were shaken. Some had fought alongside the emperor for decades, yet now, as they watched humans walk calmly through streets still burning in parts, they began to lower their weapons. The humans were not invincible, perhaps, but they were unstoppable in their purpose. Rin's second-in-command observed the reactions. Captain, they seem afraid. Not of us attacking them, but of what we represent. Rin nodded. Exactly. Fear is a teacher. Let them understand that humans are not to be underestimated. Let them remember this day. The city's citizens whispered among themselves. Mothers clutched their children, soldiers lowered their heads, and even the once proud elite realized that their arrogance had been misplaced. Humans had arrived and had done what no other race could. They had shifted the balance of power with a single act of courage. A young soldier approached the emperor, voice shaking. My lord, what do we do now? The emperor looked down at the humans, then at the survivors. We learn, he murmured. We understand that strength is more than weapons, more than fleets, more than fear. Today, we have been shown the difference. And it terrifies me. Meanwhile, Rin moved among the people, checking on injuries and coordinating evacuation shuttles. Her calm presence reassured the terrified citizens. They had been saved, yes, but more importantly, they had witnessed humans in action, a force unlike anything they could have imagined. The little girl, still clinging to Rin, whispered, They won't hurt anyone else, right? Rin smiled gently. Not if we can help it. And we will. High above, the enemy faction that had set the city ablaze was in retreat. Their scouts had reported the humans' overwhelming power and efficiency. The message was clear: attack humans, and you will fail. The very thought of them struck fear into the hearts of those who had believed themselves unstoppable. Back on the ground, the Empire's leaders finally knelt, not in surrender to a conqueror, but in awe of the humans' unparalleled strength. They understood, perhaps for the first time, that humans were a force of nature, not a species to be mocked or ignored. Rin watched silently, letting the lesson sink in. Humans did not need to dominate to be feared. They did not need to destroy to be respected. They acted with precision, with courage, and with purpose. And that was enough to make entire empires rethink everything they thought they knew. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city, the aliens realized the truth. Humans were no longer distant myths or stories told to frighten children. They were real, they were powerful, and they had arrived when needed most. And the galaxy would never be the same. The fires had mostly died, leaving the city scarred but standing. Smoke lingered in the streets like a silent reminder of the chaos that had come before, yet a new energy pulsed through the survivors. They had been saved. They had been protected. And most of all, they had seen humans in action. Captain Rin's team moved steadily through the city, helping citizens gather supplies, checking for injuries, and clearing debris. Every human action seemed effortless, almost graceful, as if they were guided by some unseen instinct that knew exactly what to do. The little girl, still clutching Rin's hand, looked around at the humans helping her neighbors. Her wide eyes reflected awe. They really care, she whispered. Rin smiled. We do. That's what makes us strong. High above the city, the alien empire's leaders convened in the remains of their council hall. Their pride had been shaken, but they were beginning to see the humans' true purpose. These were not conquerors, nor mercenaries. They were protectors, and that fact demanded respect. The emperor cleared his throat, addressing his generals. We have survived today because of them. We owe our lives to humans. We must learn from this, or we risk losing everything in the future. A general stepped forward hesitantly. My lord, how do we repay them? How do we trust them? The emperor's gaze drifted to the sky, where the human fleet still hovered. We start by listening. We start by learning. Humans answer calls for help, but they do not accept false praise or empty gestures. If we wish to survive, we must prove ourselves worthy. Down on the streets, Rin coordinated with her crew to distribute medical supplies and food. Alien citizens looked on in wonder as humans handed out healing devices, advanced medicine, and energy shields to protect the vulnerable. Even soldiers who had once been proud and defiant now knelt quietly, watching the humans' efficiency and care. The little girl ran ahead, helping other children pick up scattered supplies. She laughed, a bright sound cutting through the lingering tension. For the first time since the fire, hope had returned. Humans had not only saved lives, they had shown a path forward. Rin observed the scene carefully. We are not here to rule, she said softly to her second-in-command. We are here to teach. They must learn to protect each other, or this will happen again. Her words were carried by the breeze through the streets, unheard by most, but the actions spoke louder than speech. Humans rebuilt, humans healed, and humans prepared the city for whatever threats might come next. The alien emperor, still wary, approached Rin cautiously. Captain, your people, your fleet, it is unlike anything we imagined. How can we ever repay this? Rin looked at him, calm and unwavering. Do not repay us with words. Protect your people. Protect your world. Learn from this day. That is enough. The emperor nodded slowly, understanding dawning on him. He had expected humans to demand loyalty, to seek tribute or control. Instead, they offered guidance, protection, and an example of strength tempered with mercy. Elsewhere, the rival faction that had attacked the city watched from afar. Their scouts reported humans moving with purpose and precision, saving lives and preparing defenses. Panic spread among them. The humans had not only saved the city, they had shown that resistance was futile. Rin's second-in-command watched the approaching enemy ships retreating into the distance. They won't strike again soon, he said. Not after what they've witnessed. Perhaps, Rin replied, eyes scanning the horizon. But we cannot rely on that. Strength is shown through preparation as much as action. The alliance we form today must be strong enough to withstand tomorrow. By evening, the city had begun to feel like a home again. Fires were extinguished, streets cleared, and survivors gathered in central squares to rebuild what had been lost. The humans remained, offering guidance and protection, but also teaching the aliens that cooperation was a greater weapon than fear. The little girl stood beside Rin one last time before the humans prepared to depart. Will you come back? She asked. Rin knelt to her level, smiling. If you ever call for help, we will come. Remember that. Humans answer when others cannot. As the human fleet lifted into the sky, the citizens watched silently, awestruck. The alien empire had learned a new truth. Humans were not only warriors, they were allies, protectors, and a force whose power demanded respect. And as the stars swallowed the humans' fleet, the little girl whispered a promise to herself. She would remember the day humans arrived, the day entire empires learned to kneel, not in submission to fear, but in respect for a force greater than any they had known. The alliance had begun, and with it, the galaxy had changed forever. The alien city had begun to recover. Streets were cleared, fires extinguished, and citizens slowly returned to their homes. Humans had departed, leaving behind supplies, guidance, and a new sense of hope. But even as the survivors celebrated, a shadow lingered beyond the stars, one that the humans could not see, and yet one that threatened everything. Far from the city, the enemy faction that had set the fires was regrouping. Their ships were scattered across the outer system, damaged but not destroyed. Commanders barked orders, their voices sharp with anger and disbelief. They had underestimated humans, and now they paid the price. They saved the city, they saved everyone, one lieutenant growled, slamming his fist on a control panel. Sparks flew, and alarms blared as the ship trembled. How is this possible? No race has ever moved with such speed, precision, and mercy. Their leader, a tall alien with jagged features, slammed his claws onto the console. This is unacceptable. They cannot be allowed to leave unpunished. Humans think they can interfere with our plans? We will show them, and the galaxy, what happens to those who defy us. Back in the city, the alien emperor met with his generals. His voice was grave. They are gathering forces. The humans may have saved us today, but tomorrow they will face new dangers. Our survival depends on our alliance with them. One general nodded, worry etched on his face. We owe them everything, yet these enemies, our enemies, will not stop. They will come for revenge. Rin, aboard her ship in orbit, scanned the sector. Her sensors detected faint movements in the outer regions. Small clusters of ships, damaged but operational, were beginning to regroup. Her eyes narrowed. "Report," she said, voice sharp. "Captain," her second-in-command replied, "scouts are picking up unusual activity. It appears the faction responsible for the fire is regrouping. They are repairing their ships and forming new attack formations." Rin's jaw tightened. They've learned nothing. They think survival makes them strong. They're wrong. Prepare the fleet. We may have left, but we cannot let this threat return unchecked. The little girl, now safely in the city, had grown quiet. She sensed tension in the air, the way humans always seemed to sense danger before it arrived. She clutched a small piece of alien technology Rin had given her, a gift, and a reminder that humans were watching, protecting, and always ready. High above, the enemy faction's leader addressed his crew. "We underestimated them once. Never again. This time, we will strike with overwhelming force. This time, humans will learn the cost of interfering in our plans." Across the galaxy, the message spread. Even the smallest colonies whispered of humans, Deathworlders, who arrived in fire and saved lives. Stories of their courage, precision, and unstoppable power traveled faster than any fleet. And for those who had tried to oppose them, fear became the only language that made sense. Rin's second-in-command turned to her. "Captain, they're preparing something. They may try to attack again." Rin's eyes glinted with determination. "Let them come. Humans answer when called, yes, but we also strike first when necessary. We will be ready." The city below remained unaware of the exact threat brewing, but the citizens could feel it, a tension in the air, a shadow looming beyond the horizon. They had been saved once, and they trusted humans to return if the need arose. But even in hope, there was fear. The unseen enemy was gathering strength, and the next confrontation would test everyone. In the distant darkness, the enemy faction's ships glinted like predators circling their prey. Repairs were completed, weapons charged, and plans made. Their hatred for the humans burned as fiercely as any fire that had consumed the city before. Yet, the galaxy had already changed. Humans were no longer distant legends or myths. They were protectors, hunters, and warriors whose reach extended across the stars. The enemy may gather, but they could never forget. Humans answered when no one else would. And when they came, empires would tremble. Rin stood at the edge of her command bridge, watching the stars. "We've saved lives," she whispered, "but the battle is never truly over. There will always be enemies. There will always be threats. But wherever SOS calls echo across the galaxy, humans will answer." The little girl looked up at the night sky, clutching the human gift close to her chest. Somewhere among those stars, humans were watching, protecting, preparing. And when the unseen enemy came, she knew they would not fail. The shadows moved, the enemy plotted, and the stage was set for the next confrontation. The galaxy held its breath. The alien city had finally begun to breathe again. Smoke drifted from distant ruins, and survivors moved through the streets with cautious hope. Children played quietly among the debris, mothers carried food and water, and even soldiers lowered their weapons, their eyes still wide with awe. High above the planet, the human fleet hovered silently. Captain Rin stood on the bridge of the flagship, her arms crossed, eyes scanning the horizon. The mission was complete. The city had been saved. Lives had been rescued. The little girl, once trapped in the fire, was now safe with her family. But Rin knew the galaxy would never be the same again. Humans had arrived, and their presence had changed the balance of fear, respect, and power forever. On the streets, alien citizens whispered among themselves. Stories spread quickly. Humans came. Humans saved us. Humans fought like no one else could. Even the Empire's leaders, who had once been proud and untouchable, now knelt in quiet acknowledgement. They had witnessed a force unlike any other. A force that did not conquer out of greed, but out of protection. The little girl ran to Rin one last time, clutching the small device the humans had left with her. "Will you really leave?" she asked, her voice trembling. Rin knelt down, her face gentle but firm. "We must. But remember this, if you or your people ever call for help, we will come. Humans answer when no one else can. That is who we are." The girl nodded, her eyes shining with a mixture of gratitude and awe. She knew this was more than a promise. It was a warning to enemies and a shield for the innocent. Humans were not just protectors. They were legends in motion. As the fleet prepared to jump into hyperspace, the alien emperor addressed the survivors and soldiers. His voice, once proud and commanding, now carried a note of humility. "Remember what you have seen today. Learn from it. Honor it. Humans are not just warriors, they are teachers, protectors, and a force the galaxy cannot ignore." The last shuttles lifted off, and the flagship activated its jump drives. Stars stretched into streaks of light as the humans vanished, leaving the city and its people to recover, rebuild, and reflect. Far beyond the planet, the enemy faction that had attacked the city watched the retreating human fleet. Panic and fear spread through their ranks. Their scouts had seen what the humans could do, how they moved, how they protected, how they fought. The lessons of the fire, the rescue, and the battle in the skies would haunt them forever. "This is not over," their leader growled, teeth clenched. "But we will remember. We will never forget." Back on the planet, the survivors slowly began to rebuild their lives. The little girl clutched the human gift close to her heart, a reminder that hope could arrive from the stars. The city had survived, but it had survived because humans had come. Stories of the humans spread quickly through the galaxy. They were no longer distant myths whispered among children. They were a living legend, a race that answered SOS calls, a force that inspired both hope and fear. Entire empires would remember this day. Entire worlds would tremble at the name of humans, the Deathworlders who saved a city, a child, and an empire. And somewhere among the stars, Captain Rin and her fleet sailed on, ready for the next call. A new legend had been written, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Because humans do not wait. Humans answer. And when they do, Entire empires kneel.